Right now, about half the folks watching this aren't getting enough of one single mineral. Half. And most of them have no idea. It runs more than 300 little jobs inside you. Your heartbeat, your muscles, your sleep. It steadies your blood pressure and helps your body handle its sugar. And when you run low, your body doesn't shout. It whispers, a cramp at night, a short temper, a heart that flutters for no good reason. The mineral's called magnesium. And the fix isn't sitting in a pill bottle, it's on a plate. 15 everyday foods, most of them cheaper than a cup of coffee. Number 4 is a dessert. I'm not joking, a real one, the kind you already love. Number 1, most folks scrape it out of a pumpkin every October and throw the best part away. One small handful holds nearly half a day's worth for many women, and the tiny seed at number 10 packs more than you'd ever guess from its size. I spent 20 years as a nurse before I traded the ward for a garden. Nothing here replaces your doctor. I'm retired, not a prescriber. This is what the research says. So, stay with me. By the end, you'll know exactly what to put on your fork and why. Let's begin. Let's start where most folks waste the best part. Every fall, people carve a pumpkin, scoop out the middle and toss the seeds straight in the bin. I did it too, for years. Then, one season, I dried a handful on a tea towel by the wood stove. And well, I never went back. These little green kernels go by the name pepitas, and folks across the Americas were eating them long before there was ever a Thanksgiving pumpkin to carve. There's a reason that habit lasted so long. An ounce of these little green kernels carries around 150 milligrams of magnesium. For a lot of women, that's close to half what they need in a whole day. One handful, potent, and the magnesium's only the headline. They bring a good dose of zinc, a little iron, and the kind of fat that treats your heart gently. A whole pantry, tucked into a soft green shell no bigger than your thumbnail. Here's the kitchen table. Way to think about it. Magnesium is like the spark that lets your muscles fire and then let go again. When you run short, evidence suggests that let go part can get sticky. Get enough of it, and the switch off comes easier. It's the same quiet steadying that researchers keep tying to calmer nerves and sounder sleep. I'll make no promises, mind. Only point where the studies point. A blessing, really, packed into something we keep throwing away. The grandchildren carve the faces every October. I dry the seeds on the towel by the stove. Feels to me like I got the better end of that bargain. Start with raw kernels, a single layer. No oil needed. Low heat. Stir 'em gentle till they start to pop and smell nutty. Tip 'em into a little bowl, a pinch of salt while warm. That's it. I keep a jar by the kettle and grab a spoonful with my afternoon tea. Easy. You knew this one was coming. But here's what folks miss. It isn't the raw, fluffy salad bowl that does the heavy lifting. It's the cooked spinach. Half a cup, wilted down, holds around 78 milligrams. The cooking's the whole trick. A big raw pile shrinks to almost nothing in the pan. And all that goodness packs in tight. Same leaf. More mineral per bite. There's a second reason heat helps, too. Raw spinach holds a grippy little compound that clamps onto some of its minerals and won't let your body take its full share. A few minutes in the pan loosens that grip and hands more of the goodness over. Spinach gets its green from the very thing that carries magnesium in the plant. It sits right at the heart of the leaf, the way the Creator designed it, the same engine that lets the plant drink in sunlight. So when you eat the green, you're eating the magnesium. Simple as that. My grandmother used to wilt hers with a little butter and nutmeg, or was it her sister? No matter. The point holds. The magnesium does quiet work alongside calcium. Besides, the pair of them keeping your bones from growing brittle as the years stack up. That's a thing I saw plenty of in my nursing days, and plenty of it started at the supper table years before. Spinach is a forgiving plant in the garden, mind. Loves our cool, damp Oregon spring. I sow a row, and it's feeding me in 6 weeks. No fuss at all. Big handful of fresh leaves. Don't be shy. They shrink right down. A pat of butter, low heat, and toss 'em just till they fall. a little grate of nutmeg. That's my grandmother's whole trick. I love these for the same reason I love a good wool blanket. Humble, dependable, there when you need 'em. Half a cup of cooked black beans gives you about 60 milligrams. And beans bring a second gift along for the ride. They're slow. They sit easy in your belly and let your body handle its sugar without the big rush and crash that white bread gives you. Magnesium has a hand in that sugar management too, so the bean and the mineral work the same side of the street. There's more in the bowl than just the mineral. A good measure of fiber, a solid helping of plant protein, and a folate your body leans on quietly every single day. Between the potassium and the magnesium, evidence indicates a diet built on beans tends to sit gentle on your blood pressure besides. Gentle being the word, not magic. Folks have leaned on the bean for thousands of years, all across the Americas, long before anybody counted a milligram of anything. They just knew it kept a family fed through a hard stretch. I keep a pot going most weeks. There's a quiet comfort in dried beans. They don't spoil, they don't ask for much, and a single bag feeds you for days. A bargain from the soil. One small tip from my own kitchen. Give them a good long soak, pour off that first water, and they'll treat your stomach far kinder. My mother taught me that, and she was right about most things in a kitchen. Soaked beans into the pot, a bay leaf, a clove of garlic, and patience. Low and slow till the skins go silky. No rush. Ladle a bowlful warm. A little olive oil on top, and supper's halfway done. Here's the one I promised you. A real dessert, and it earns its place on this list honestly. An ounce of good dark chocolate, the strong kind, 70% and up, carries around 65 milligrams of magnesium. That's because chocolate starts as a bean, and beans, as we've seen, are rich in it. The darker the bar, the more bean and the less sugar, so the more mineral you get per square. The old peoples of Central America knew this bean was something special long before us. They drank it bitter and unsweetened, and they called the tree a name that means food of the gods. They weren't far wrong. Beyond the magnesium, good dark chocolate carries a family of plant compounds that studies have tied to a steadier heart, and, some suggest, a small lift in spirits. I won't oversell that last part, but anyone who's wrapped their hands around a warm cup of cocoa on a gray Oregon afternoon already knows there's comfort in it. Read the label. That's all I ask. If the first thing listed is sugar, you've got candy. If it's cocoa, you've got the good stuff, 70% and up. I'll be plain with you. This isn't a license to eat the whole bar, and a sweet treat won't carry your day on its own. But a square or two of something honest, eaten slow after supper, well, that's no sin. That's a small joy the Lord left in a bean, and it happens to feed you while it does it. Break a real bar by hand. You want it rough, not tidy. 1 or 2 squares. A spoon of cacao nibs over warm oats works too. Sit. Let it melt slow. That's the whole protocol, dearie. An ounce of almonds, that's a small handful, about 23 of them, gives you around 80 milligrams, and they keep. A jar on the shelf, a pocketful on a walk. No fuss. I think of the almond as a little battery. The plant tucks away everything the seed will need to grow a whole tree, and magnesium is part of that stored charge. When you eat the seed, you borrow some of that charge for yourself. Steady energy, the kind that doesn't spike and drop. There's real truth behind that picture. Magnesium is one of the little helpers your body uses to turn the food you eat into the energy you run on. Folks who feel wrung out and weary all the time are often short on it without ever knowing. And here's a thing I noticed in the wards. People prone to those crushing headaches, the kind that put you in a dark room, tend to run low on magnesium too. Studies have noticed the same. No cure in a nut, mind. Just a pattern worth knowing. The almond brings more than the mineral besides. A fine dose of vitamin E for your skin, and good fats along with it. One gentle word, since I was a nurse, and old habits die hard. Eat 'em as they come, skin and all. The skin's where a good part of the goodness hides. People buy 'em blanched and pale and toss out the best bit. Don't do that, dearie. A handful in a glass of water overnight. They soften and they're kinder on the stomach. Come morning, drain and pat 'em dry on a clean cloth. Toss a few into oats, salads, or just eat 'em by the handful. This one grows like it's stubborn about living. I've got chard in my beds that shrugs off the frost and keeps right on giving when everything else has gone to sleep. February green. A small miracle in the damp. Cooked down, a cup of chard carries around 150 milligrams. That's a serious amount from a leaf most folks walk right past at the market. Same story as the spinach. The deep green is the tell. Where there's that rich color, there's magnesium sitting at the center of it. And those bright stems aren't just pretty. They mean the plant's been busy, full of life, nature's bounty, dressed up in color. Chard's a Mediterranean plant by birth, kin to the beet, though you'd hardly know it to look at the two side by side. Folks there have been cooking it down with a little olive oil and garlic for longer than anybody's bothered to write down. It carries a good store of vitamin K, too, the kind your body calls on for healthy blood and strong bones, and a fair bit of potassium riding right alongside that magnesium. I'll tell you something about stubbornness, since we're on the subject. The first year I planted chard, I near gave up on it twice. Slugs got half my seedlings, and I was ready to till the whole row under. My late husband talked me out of it. Good thing, too. That same patch has fed us greens clear through 3 winters since, frost and all. Nature's bounty, dressed up in color, and a lesson in patience besides. Chop the stems small. They take a touch longer, so they go in first. Soften the stems first, then the torn leaves go in after. A splash of water, a lid, 2 minutes. Done and bright. Folks think of the avocado as a fat, and it surely is a good one, but it slips by as a magnesium food, and it shouldn't. One whole avocado carries somewhere around 50 milligrams, a touch more or less depending on its size. What I like is the company it keeps. That creamy fat helps your body soak up the fat-loving vitamins. Your A, your E, that ride along in the same meal, so the avocado earns its place twice over, a little magnesium of its own, and a helping hand getting the rest of your plate absorbed. A generous fruit. It's a fruit grown clear down in Mexico and Central America originally, though I confess our Oregon climate's too cool and wet for me to grow my own. I leave that to the warmer states and buy mine at the market, ripe and a little soft to the touch. The fat in it is mostly the same kind doctors point to when they talk about a heart-friendly diet, the sort that's gentle on your blood vessels over the long years. And there's a fair store of potassium in there too, more, ounce for ounce, than a banana carries, which still surprises folks when I tell them. I'll tell you, the first time I grew one indoors from a pit on a windowsill, it never fruited. Stubborn thing, but it taught me patience, and that's its own kind of harvest. The pit sits on my kitchen sill to this day, more leaves on it now than I ever expected. Halve it, twist, and pop the stone out with the spoon. Scoop the flesh, a squeeze of lemon, and mash it rough with a fork. A pinch of salt. Spread it thick. Honest food. The cashew's a softer, sweeter cousin to the almond, and it pulls its weight. An ounce gives you around 74 milligrams. Here's a homestead trick I lean on. Soak a handful, blend them with a little water, and you've got a cream as smooth as anything from the dairy aisle. No cow required. For folks who've gone off milk, it's a quiet blessing. Magnesium in a pour you can stir into soup or coffee. It's a curious nut, the cashew. It doesn't grow the way you'd picture it. It hangs off the bottom of a strange little fruit called a cashew apple on trees that only do well in hot, humid country. Nothing like our Oregon hills. Every nut you've ever eaten traveled a long way to reach your kitchen table. That's worth a moment's gratitude in itself. Beyond the magnesium, the cashew carries copper and a fair share of iron, 2 minerals that work quietly together to keep your blood doing its job and your immune system standing ready. It's a softer fat, too, gentler going down than some, which is part of why it blends up so silky. soft, mild, useful. That's the cashew. I'll add one small caution, since I'd rather you hear it from me than learn it the hard way. The shell around a raw cashew carries an irritant oil, kin to poison ivy of all things, which is why you'll never find them sold in the shell like a walnut or a pecan. Every cashew that reaches your kitchen has already been carefully shelled and roasted to drive that oil off. A bit of trouble on somebody's part, but it's why the nut you're holding is safe and sweet. Soak raw cashews till they swell and turn soft. Drain, then blend with fresh water till it's silk. Stir a spoonful into soup or your morning cup. Rich and kind. This little seed kept folks fed high in the mountains for thousands of years, long before any of us called it fashionable. A cooked cup carries around 118 milligrams. It cooks up like a grain, but it isn't one, it's a seed, and that's why it brings more to the table. Unlike white rice, which has had its richest part stripped away in the mill, quinoa keeps the whole of itself. Whole seed, whole gift. The people of the Andes called it the mother grain, and they grew it on slopes so steep and so high that little else would take root there. It carries every one of the amino acids your body needs from food but can't build on its own. A complete protein, the kind you mostly hear about from meat or eggs, sitting quiet in a plant instead. For folks watching their meat or going without it altogether, that's no small thing. There's a faint bitter coat on it from the plant's own defenses. A good rinse takes care of that. Always rinse, dearie. Trust me on that one. I learned that lesson the hard way the first time I cooked a pot and served it bitter as quinine. Lesson stuck. It comes in more than the pale gold you usually see bagged at the store. Red, black, even a striped variety the old farmers up in the mountains call rainbow. Color makes no real difference to the magnesium count, far as the research shows, so pick whichever pleases your eye and cook it the same simple way. Rinse it well in a fine sieve till the water runs clear. 2 parts water to 1 of seed. Simmer with a lid till the little curls show. Rest it off the heat, then fluff it gentle with a fork. Here's the one I teased at the start. Don't let the size fool you. A single ounce of these little specks holds around 111 milligrams from something you can barely feel between your fingers. Remarkable, and they've got a party trick. Drop them in water and they swell up into a soft jelly. That jelly holds on to water in your gut, which keeps everything moving gentle and slows the meal down nice and easy. Good for steady sugar, good for staying full. The old Aztec runners carried these seeds for strength on long journeys. Generations before anybody had a word like superfood. There's wisdom buried in old habits like that, even if the people doing it couldn't have told you the why of it. Beyond the magnesium, chia carries a generous share of fiber and a plant-based omega-3, the same family of fat the doctors are always pushing folks toward more of from fish. I keep a jar soaking in the icebox. Morning comes, half the work's already done while I slept. There's a kind of grace in that, if you ask me. Supper doing its own work overnight while you rest. These seeds keep for years in a sealed jar without going rancid, longer than almost anything else in my pantry, on account of a natural compound in them that fights off spoilage all on its own. A homestead trait if ever there was one. Store a little surplus, and it'll still be good for you a year on. No special tricks needed. A few spoons of chia into a jar. Pour your milk of choice right over. Give it a good stir so it doesn't clump, then let it rest overnight. Morning, it's a soft pudding. A few berries on top, and that's breakfast. These bright green pods are just young soybeans, picked before they harden. Half a cup of the shelled beans carries around 50 milligrams, and they bring a full, honest protein along with the mineral, the kind that's a touch harder to find in the garden. They're the easiest thing in the world. A quick boil in salted water, pop the beans out of the pod with your fingers, and you've got a snack that keeps your hands busy and your body fed. Folks in Japan have been eating these the same simple way for generations, straight from the pod. A little salt, nothing fancier than that. Sometimes the oldest habits hold up the best against all our newer ideas. Beyond the magnesium and the protein, edamame carries a good store of folate and a fair bit of fiber, and being a legume, it sends a little nitrogen back into the soil it grows in, a small gift to next year's garden bed, free of charge. My late husband used to sit and shell a whole bowl while we watched the rain come in. Simple evenings, good ones. There's a particular kind of peace in a task for your hands while the rest of you just sits and watches the weather change. You'll most often find these in the freezer aisle, picked and frozen within hours of harvest, which actually keeps the magnesium closer to what you'd get fresh off the vine than a lot of produce that's traveled days to reach the store. A frozen bag is no lesser choice here. Some seasons, it's the better one. Whole pods into salted rolling water for just a few minutes. Drain, then a good scatter of coarse salt while they're hot. Squeeze each pod and the beans pop right into your mouth. That's it. The name fools people. There's no wheat in it at all. It's a seed, kin to rhubarb of all things. So, for folks who can't take wheat, it's a true friend. A cooked cup gives you around 85 milligrams. It's an old peasant food, the kind that carried whole villages through hard winters when there was little else. There's a humility in that I admire. No grand reputation. Just quiet, faithful nourishment from the ground, year after year. Folks in Russia and Eastern Europe have been eating it this way for centuries, calling it kasha, and turning to it whenever the wheat harvest failed, and there was nothing else in the cellar to lean on. It's a quick-growing plant besides, sows and flowers and set seed faster than most grains will, which is likely why it saves so many a hungry season. Beyond the magnesium, it carries a plant compound called rutin, the same one doctors point to when they talk about keeping the small blood vessels in your legs strong as you age. Toast it dry in the pan first, and it turns nutty and warm. That little step makes all the difference. Skip it, and you'll find the flavors flat as a Tuesday. Don't skip it. You'll find it sold two ways, raw and pale, or roasted, and the color of strong tea. The roasted kind is called kasha in most markets, and that's the one I reach for most weeks. Either will cook up fine, but the roasted has that toasting step already done for you, which suits a busy morning. Dry toast the raw groats till they smell warm and nutty. Add water, a pinch of salt, and let it drink it all up under a lid. Fluff it and serve it warm, like you would oatmeal or rice. The fig's about the oldest fruit there is. It shows up in the very first pages of the good book, and folks have leaned on it for sweetness and strength for as long as anyone's kept records. Half a cup of dried figs carries around 50 milligrams. Drying does something clever. It pulls the water out and leaves everything else behind. Packed close, the sweetness, the minerals, all of it concentrated into one chewy little parcel. A handful goes a long way. There's a generous helping of calcium in a dried fig, too, a thing most folks would never guess from a fruit, and a fair bit of fiber besides, the kind your grandmother probably called the friendly sort, before there was such a thing as a candy bar. The dried fig was the original sweet folks reached for on a long journey or a hard day's work in the field, and it kept for months in a sack without a lick of refrigeration. They're rich, mind you. A few is plenty, but for a sweet tooth that wants feeding without a candy bar, the fig is an honest old answer. I keep a little dish of them on the counter, right where I'd otherwise be tempted to keep cookies. Works out better for everybody. Fresh figs are a different creature altogether, delicate and barely keeping a week off the tree, which is why most of what reaches a kitchen far from the orchard comes dried. I've got one small fig tree out by the south fence, and the fruit it gives in late summer never makes it as far as drying. We eat it standing right there, juice running down to the wrist. A little warm water over the figs to plump 'em back to soft. Drain and slice 'em open. Tuck a walnut half inside each one. That's pudding and medicine in one honest little bite. Everybody knows the banana for one thing, and it's not this, but a medium banana brings around 32 milligrams along with it. Not the biggest number on our list, but the most reachable. It's already in your kitchen. It costs pennies. And there's no cooking, no fuss, no excuse. I'll let you in on a small wisdom. Eat it when the skin's gone, a bit freckled. That's when the plant's finished its work and turned its starch soft and sweet. Ripe is ready. That potassium everybody talks about is real and worth having, working hand in hand with the magnesium to keep your heartbeat steady and even. But here's the thing folks rarely mention. A green, underripe banana carries a starch your body handles slower, gentler on the blood sugar than the sweet, speckled kind. There's a place for both, depending what your body's asking for that day. Sometimes the humble, ordinary thing right under your nose is the one you've been overlooking all along. I'll confess it took me 30 years as a nurse, telling other folks to eat better, before I started looking twice at the fruit bowl sitting on my own counter the whole time. It won't grow here in Oregon, not in any garden I could manage, so this is one I leave entirely to the warmer corners of the world and the trucks that bring it north. Doesn't make it any less worth eating. Not every blessing has to come from your own dirt. Slice ripe bananas into coins and freeze them solid on a tray. Blend the frozen coins till they whip into a soft, creamy swirl. A spoon of it tastes like ice cream, but it's just the fruit. That's the magic. We'll close with the big fellow, the Brazil nut. An ounce carries around 105 milligrams, one of the richest on our whole list. But here's where the nurse in me steps forward, and you listen close. These are also loaded with another mineral, selenium, and that one your body needs only a whisper of. Too much over time isn't kind. So with these, more is not better. These nuts grow wild in the Amazon, on towering trees that can live for centuries, and they only get pollinated by one particular kind of orchid bee. No bee, no nut. Simple as that. The soil they grow in out there happens to be unusually rich in selenium, and the tree draws it up and concentrates it right into the nut. That's the whole reason this one's so different from every other nut on our list, and exactly why the rule about it matters. The rule's simple, 1 or 2 a day. No more. Treat 'em like a little daily dose, not a snack you reach into by the handful. A small portion of something powerful. That's wisdom, not stinginess. I've seen folks reach for a whole handful out of habit, the way you would with almonds, and that's exactly the habit to leave behind with this one. A jar of these sits on my own counter measured out already. 2 to a little dish each morning. Same as I'd count out a vitamin. Simple as that. And one less thing to think hard about before breakfast. Keep a small jar of shelled Brazil nuts, lid on, somewhere cool. Take out just 2. Chop them fine if you like, over oats or salad. 2 is the day's whole serving. Then close the jar and walk away. So there they are, 15 everyday foods, every one of them working the same quiet good inside you, and not a pill among them. Just the bean, the seed, the leaf, the way it was always meant to be. You don't need all 15 every day. You just need to stop walking past them. Pick 2 or 3 you already like. The pumpkin seed by the kettle, the dark square after supper. Build from there. Now, and I'll say it plain, this is for steady, everyday wellness. Your doctor is still your doctor. Bring him the list. I'm grateful for a garden that gives so freely and for the chance to share a little of it with you. If this helped, do an old nurse a kindness and subscribe. There's more growing here every week. And before you go, settle a debate at my kitchen table for me. Cooking spinach and chard packs the magnesium in tighter, but a long boil leaks some of it into the water. So tell me down below, do you wilt your greens quick in a covered pan, steam them, or save that mineral-rich cooking water for a soup? I read everyone. Take care of yourselves and each other. God bless you, and stay well.